Good evening, everybody, and welcome. My name is Tim Sink, President of the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce. And I welcome you to our 104th annual meeting and Citizen of the Year dinner. The theme of tonight is grow, which is a very important part of our mission. We're privileged to serve nearly 900 area organizations and businesses as they grow their businesses. And tonight, we're honored to recognize someone who has greatly influenced Concord's growth and evolution into the thriving city that it is today. As a chamber, we have so much to be thankful for, so many exciting projects to grow towards in the coming years. So thank you to the many generous sponsors who have supported this evening's event. Our presenting sponsor tonight is Merrimack County Savings Bank. Yeah. Long-time supporter of the chamber, obviously. Grateful to Merrimack County Savings Bank for continuing their support at this premier sponsorship level. So to Linda Lorden and all of our friends at the Merrimack, thank you so much for your generous support. We really appreciate it. We receive a lot of support from many other businesses, so I just want to mention some of these. Thank you. So, our corporate sponsors tonight, Bar Harbor Bank and Trust and Bar Harbor Wealth Management, thank you. Eversource Energy, Grapponi Automotive Group, Mason and Rich Professional Association, NBT Bank, NA, and Unitil. So thank you all. We appreciate your support. Our event sponsors this evening, AmeriHealth Caritas, New Hampshire, Nathan Wexler and Company, Northeast Delta Dental, and Orlando Professional Association. Associate sponsors tonight include Cleveland Waters and Bass, Dartmouth Hitchcock Clinics Concord, and Eastern Bank. Our supporting sponsors are Concord Hospital, Ledyard National Bank, McLean Middleton, and Sandal Napa. Print sponsor is Speedy Printing and Copying, and our photography sponsor is Wanderlust Imaging. So thank you all to our sponsors tonight. We really appreciate your help. So to get things started, I want to introduce a good friend of the chamber, Jim Milliken. Jim is a great example of the volunteer leadership that helps make this community so special. Jim had my job at the chamber for more than a decade before moving into the private sector. He also served on the chamber board, served as chair of the board of directors. He's a past recipient of the Distinguished Citizen of the Year Award, and he continues to volunteer in numerous capacities. Jim's also a man of deep faith, and I'm honored to ask him once again to provide an invocation tonight. So no matter what your beliefs, we hope you'll take this moment to reflect on this wonderful community we serve and feel gratitude for this meal and the opportunity to connect with friends. So Jim Milliken, please.
Thank you. Holy Spirit, we come to you today seeking your blessing upon our Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce and all those who are assembled here. For over 100 years, you have enabled us to promote healthy communities and healthy businesses, to encourage enthusiasm and appreciation for our creative economy, to support our educational systems, to support our multicultural diversity, and to encourage the development of new leaders. All efforts to seek prosperity and harmony in this place we call home. Grant us, we pray, the willingness and ability to continue to work together for the betterment of the common good, and empower us to continue to play our part in creating that unity in our individual lives, in our public and professional lives, and in our service to others. Where our efforts are in accordance with your will, bless them that they may be flourishing. And where we seek our own benefit over the good of our neighbors, bend our hearts towards that which is best for all. This evening we ask that you send your Holy Spirit to be present around these tables, that you accept our thanks for the many blessings we have received, and bless this food that we may put it to your use. Amen.
Thank you, Jim. At this time, I'd like to invite a board member, John Simoes, who also chairs our DEI committee. I'd like to invite John up to the podium to make a land acknowledgement.
Good, I haven't said anything yet. Thank you, Tim. Before we begin our event, we acknowledge that we are gathering on the traditional lands of the Abenaki and the Pennacook peoples. We pay our respects to their past and their present and extend our gratitude for their stewardship of this land. We honor the enduring presence and contributions of Native American communities in New Hampshire. Let us proceed with our annual meeting, grateful for the rich heritage and diverse cultures that enrich our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. So we'll start the remainder of tonight's program after you've had a chance to enjoy a delicious dinner here at the Capone Conference Center. So sit back and enjoy. So I wanted to just mention that we have a board of directors that ensures that we follow our mission to develop economic opportunities and to strengthen the business climate and enhance the quality of life throughout the capital region. So these dedicated business leaders make key decisions for our organization. They decide how best to use the resources provided, and they plan for the Chamber's future. I have the distinct pleasure of working closely with Alyssa Alfieri this past year. She served as our board chair. This organization has benefited from some truly outstanding leadership over the years, and Alyssa is certainly no exception. She ran the board and executive committee meetings in ways that made them both fun and productive. She's always willing to step in and provide great counsel and guidance while simultaneously running a busy downtown business and raising a young family. She was always ready to roll up her sleeves and get in the trenches with the staff at various community events and chamber initiatives. And as a member of the younger demographic here in Concord, she provided a fresh perspective on the needs of the business community and where the chamber can provide impact. Alyssa, you've been an absolute joy to work with. I'm very grateful for your leadership and your ongoing encouragement. I would like to invite you up here to say some final words as you fulfill your final obligations as board chair. And we do have a token of appreciation for you.
Thank you. Don't be too nice or I'll cry and I have to go read it. Thank you all so much. That was really lovely. And first of all, a great big thank you to over 850 businesses and organizations that continue to support the Chamber and its mission. Thank you all for being a part of this. I would like to single out a few board members whose terms on our board have been completed. If they can stand while I talk about them, I would appreciate that. Tanya Rochette from NAMI, New Hampshire as immediate past chair. Michael Herman of Gibson's Bookstore. Pamela Paleo of Concord Hospital, and Beth Slepian of Granite VNA, and also Greg Zinni from Benjamin Edwards Financial Group represented the Ambassador Committee and served as that committee's chair. So please join me in a show of appreciation to these outgoing directors. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been a busy year with many networking and educational programs, trade shows, award events, and we've launched a new website and customer service management software that has greatly improved our ability to serve our members. Creative Concord added new sculptures to downtown. The local, state, and government affairs committee programs kept members informed on key issues at the local and state levels. The Concord Young Professional Network resumed its robust programming schedule. Leadership Greater Concord graduated its 32nd class, and Capital Area Student Leadership graduated its 28th class. The Chamber's diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives resulted in new partnerships and successful relationship building, including an impactful conference with New Hampshire Sangha that we are excited to serve as a partner for on November 15th. And there's so much more that I could talk about, but in the interest of time, it is now my pleasure to hand the gavel to our new board chair, Ari Pollock of Gallagher, Callahan, and Gartrell. Congratulations.
Good evening, everybody. Chamber's very fortunate to have an active and talented board of directors. It's my honor to have the opportunity to serve as your board chair this coming year. And while we're sorry to say goodbye to some very talented people who've completed their term very successfully, we're excited to welcome some new directors to the board. If these individuals could please stand to be recognized. Somebody you all know, Jim Bouley, Dennehy and Bouley. Welcome to the board. Kylie Green, Legacy Marketing and Design Company. Josh Robinson, Checkmate. David McGrath, New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Chris Netto from Novus Engineering. Dawn Beers, Concord Hospital. Michelle French, Ambassador Chair Committee Chair. And Emily Richard of the SIPN Chair. Thank you. In the year ahead, the Chamber will explore new opportunities to serve the business community in Concord and advance our general economic mission and quality of life agenda for the greater Concord area. In addition to the good work accomplished under Alyssa's leadership, some of our continued strategic initiatives over the next year include: over the next 2 years, we want to build membership to pre-pandemic levels. We're making progress. We've got more work to do. We're going to seek new and effective ways to promote Concord as a visitor destination. You're all asked to do your part. We're going to explore the creation of a biannual State of the Business Community Report. We do a State of the Business Community event. We're going to turn it into a report. Advocate for increased housing that can sustain a healthy workforce. And we're going to continue incorporating DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives into all of our programs and ensure that our membership is inclusive and representative of the greater Concord area. I'm looking forward to an exciting and productive year ahead and to working with many of you on these initiatives. Now, anybody here for something else? On to the main event. First, a big shout out to Concord TV. They're here recording the event and broadcasting, so all of my errors and those that follow me can be watched over and over again at home. We're pleased this year to recognize an outstanding individual who's made a true difference in our community. It's my honor to present the highest award the Chamber bestows, the Distinguished Citizen of the Year Award, to Concord's longest serving mayor. Let me say that again. Concord's longest serving mayor, Mayor Jim Bouley. Before I announce the actual proclamation, or official proclamation, there are a few people that we've asked to provide some commentary. And I highlighted that word commentary because it gives me some pause, but nonetheless, some commentary from Mike Dennehy, Jim's partner, and Tom Aspell, the Concord City Manager. And I'd ask both of them to join me here at the podium and share their observations. And again, this gave me some pause. I'll stay close to the microphone.
You have no idea how long I've been waiting for this opportunity. 15 years to be exact. I have a list. So, Tim says I only have 30 minutes. This will be the quickest celebration of Festivus that you've ever seen. For those of you who don't know, in honor of the Costanza family on Seinfeld, the tradition of Festivus starts with airing of grievances. So, most people don't know how our little company got started. Back in 2006, I had a small 3-person company and was preparing to move to Washington for a year or so. Needed someone to run my company while I was gone, and word got around, and I got a call from Tara Reardon. And she says, you know, I think Jim would be interested in running your company. So I was living in East Concord at the time. Jim was my city councilor. I had problems with my street being plowed on time. Grievance number 1. And then there's the purple trash bags. Grievance number 2. But I knew and respected Tara. In fact, she should probably get the award for better half here tonight. So I talked to Jim, figured I'd give it a shot. I'm a Republican, Jim's a Democrat. What could go wrong? It did honestly go so well that when I returned from Washington 18 months later, we decided to make it official. We became partners in January of 2008. So now the company was named Dennehy and Bouley. One Dennehy and one Bouley. Soon thereafter, another Bouley joined, the lovely RLB, Jim's father, grievance number 3. And a few years ago, another Bouley joined Dennehy and Bouley. Jim's son Jackson, grievance number 4. So it's now Dennehy and Bouley and Bouley and Bouley. I knew Jim was upset when his name went second, but this is a little ridiculous. So we may need to have a little baptism tonight to make Alex Katrubis, Matt Gatsky, Dennehy family members. Okay, I'll dispatch for the grievances for a minute. Say a couple of nice words. 4 words, actually. Caring, supportive, generous, and loyal. Jim is caring not just for his family and friends. I actually might cry here. Not just for his family and friends, but for everyone. And it's what makes him an incredible mayor. Jim's supportive. If you need support, Jim's right there to give it to you. It goes without saying that Jim's been the cheerleader of the city of Concord, but he's also been supportive of his family, his friends, neighbors, and colleagues. Jim's generous. And let's face it, Jim's given so much time to the city of Concord, I wouldn't even attempt to try and figure out how much time. Maybe we ask Tara that one, maybe we don't. Jim's loyal, fiercely loyal. If you ever get in a fight, that's the guy you want every step of the way by your side. And all of these qualities are what's made him the best mayor in Concord's history. I don't think it's an argument. No offense to other mayors. I think many of you would agree, Jim bleeds Concord, New Hampshire. The legacy, what a legacy he's left for the city. I'm proud to have him as my business partner and friend. And so, yeah, maybe I should just give in and become a Bouley. Make it easy for him. So, congratulations, Mr. Mayor, and it's a Festivus miracle. I'm done in about 3 minutes.
good evening, everyone. I've known the mayor for quite some time, but we'll start at the beginning. I was hired as the first community development director for the city a few years back. It's a job that Matt Walsh does now. He does it much better than I could have ever done it, but that's what the job was. And very shortly after I was there, the city manager, the late Duncan Ballantyne, came into my office and said, "Hey, I have a special assignment for you." And that special assignment sounded interesting. I've just been there a very short period of time. It sounded like an award or reward, I should say. But the interesting thing, it came after a very interesting series of city council meetings. And what happened was he said, we have a city councilor who, you might want to provide a little bit of guidance to. And guidance, that's kind of a trigger word. And I thought of guidance, and the gut feeling is, you reach down and you grab your knee and you say, why me, type of thing, right? And so he goes, I'd like you to provide some guidance to City Councilor Bouley. And I said, okay, well, what do you mean by guidance? He goes, well, like a handler. And when I said, and he used the word handler. And of course, what comes into your mind when you hear handler is a circus, right? And so that was going through my mind. He could tell I was getting a little tense. And he said, just try to keep the, I never told you the story, did I? No. Well, I've only known you for 26 years. And he goes, just try to keep the confusion down, just keep everything down to a low roar. And then
This explains a lot.
and just keep an eye on him and give him that be that handler for him. And Duncan always had a great sense of humor, and he said on the way out, just think he could actually be mayor someday. We laughed. It was kind of break the tension, that sometimes that comes back and gets you. But it's true story. That was I think 6 months into our relationship. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, my lovely wife Mary had family up from Cape Cod, and we were just finished dinner downtown. We were walking up North Main Street, and they were just marveling at Main Street and the conditions. They love Concord, they love Main Street, they travel internationally. As a matter of fact, they had college friends who lived in Concord. They were staying with them for a couple of days, and for the other couple of days, they were staying at Steve's Hotel, staying right here. And rave reviews, Steve, by the way. They loved it. But they couldn't say enough about Concord. They couldn't say enough about the downtown, about how friendly it was, how much people wanted to be there. You could tell it was a genuine feeling of welcoming from anybody who was there. And we were walking up Main Street, and then we got to about the clock tower. And just a little story, just about you eventually. Don't worry. We get to the clock tower, and I look across the street, and I had a flashback. And the flashback was Mayor Donovan, Mayor City Councilor Bouley, and myself at the time coming the other way. And we were on Main Street, looking down Main Street, and you could see all the way to Don Brueggemann's place. Right? There were 6 cars on the street. This was a Friday morning, 9:30. I still have a pretty good memory. 9:30 morning. It was a Friday because we had just left Senator Gregg's office. I don't know if you remember this. The prescription center. His office was above the prescription center. We had just received a $2 million grant to buy farmland throughout the city. At that time, we were buying and protecting farms throughout the city, long before locavore became a term that was used in this region. The city council really wanted to protect farms, and the mayor was part of that. And but as we look down Main Street, you can see all the way to Don Brueggemann's because there's only 6 cars in the street. And that's a Friday morning. And the same is true of every Saturday morning and every Sunday morning. No cars anywhere in the street. You could park anywhere you want. And we were standing, as a matter of fact, the mayor was standing on one side, City Councilor Bouley was standing on the other. I couldn't stand beside them because the sidewalk wasn't wide enough for the 3 of us to stand together. I was going to step onto the curb. I'd still actually be looking down at them. But, You never want to cede the high ground to the political fellows. But we looked at that and said, boy, something really needs to be done. Fast forward, so that was many, many years ago. A lot of you were involved in the Main Street project, getting the Tiger grant, doing all the effort associated with that, being part of the 70 meetings that were involved with that. And we get the whole thing designed, goes out to bid, it comes in way over bid. And the mayor at the time turns to me and says, with the rest of the city council, you got to come back with something that's actually financially going to work. So I go around, and this is again, eventually I'll get to you. I go around, I talk to a lot of people, talk to a lot of you. And I'll tell you what he says to me, and because I wanted to find out what are the values of the community, what do people really want? And what he says to me is, and I remember this, is that everybody was talking about the lighting and having the bump outs and the traffic and all the safety issues associated with that. What was important to him was, and this is something I'll say now, because in probably 5 years ago, if you're new to the community in the last 5 years, you won't know this, and probably in 5 years, you probably won't remember this, is that at one time in downtown Concord, it was very, very difficult to physically get into, if you had a mobility issue, if you were pushing a carriage, with babies, or if you were in a wheelchair, you couldn't get into many of the businesses downtown. And you couldn't go in with your family members, and you couldn't participate. You couldn't work in those businesses. And what he said was, that's the highest priority. That's what I want to have done. I want that fixed. And matter of fact, if you remember, if you go down to the Bank of New Hampshire Theater, we had a double-step curb down there. So if you were in a wheelchair, if you were pushing a baby carriage and you got out down on South Main Street, you had to walk backwards into 2 lanes of traffic oncoming to get all the way up to a crossing so you could get onto the sidewalk. He said that's what's important, so people can actually participate, be downtown, be welcome downtown, and be part of downtown as a visitor or actually work there. So that was important to him. So why do I tell you that story? Because I think in my mind that everybody has great ideas, a lot of great ideas out there. It's the ability to activate those ideas and be in touch with the values of the community and being able to then pull together a team like the city council, figure out what's important, and actually get those things done. That's a rare quality. That's a leadership quality. That's what makes a citizen of the year. That's what how things get done. So with that, I'd like to thank Tara and Jackson. He's around. There he is. Good to see you, Jackson. His whole family, and I'm sure Whitney and Matthew are here. And his parents. Thank you for sharing him all these years. I have 2 years left on my assignment. 2 months. 2 months left on my assignment from Duncan, and then I just asked Tara that you just don't forget to come and get him. And it's been a lot of years. So with that, thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening. And,
Mike, it was you I was worried about. I apologize. And now, Tim, you italicized that. I feel like you said, and now. Jim, if you could join me, I'm going to read the official proclamation. No turning back. The 2023 Citizen of the Year. Right here, my friend. Outstanding leadership, visionary stewardship, absolute commitment to community. These are some of the terms used to describe our honoree this evening. Jim's legacy as mayor of Concord has advanced our community standing in the state of New Hampshire, in New England. It's transformed Concord's footprint and made an everlasting impact on our economy and our quality of life. Mayor Bouley received an outpouring of nominations for this award. Recognition from his wife Tara, Jim McKay, New Hampshire representative and former mayor, Steve Shurtleff, state representative and former Speaker of the House, and others, including me. As Mike Dennehy wrote in a prior transmission, from transforming Main Street to building goodwill across our community, Jim has arguably been the most successful mayor the city of Concord has ever seen. Tom Aspell, city manager for Concord, shared his experiences. I can unequivocally testify to his commitment to utilize every available opportunity to improve the community for all residents, businesses, and visitors. One project in particular stands out in Mayor Bouley's tenure, the award-winning Main Street renovation, which transformed the capital city's landscape, creating a stunning shopping district that attracts visitors, supports small business, provides better access to individuals with disabilities, pedestrians, and cyclists. Concord citizens are going to reap the benefit of this project for generations to come. Although Mayor Bouley may be well known for doing the business of the city, fewer people know the extent of his connection to its citizens and his many volunteer roles throughout the community. His approach to addressing a citizen's concern is not just returning a phone call and hearing their grievance. For one particular resident in Concord, and I didn't know this, it meant climbing into their basement.
This is the abbreviated version.
This is, I cut a lot. It meant climbing into a basement to view sewage seeping into the building, and then making a weekend call to general services to address the problem immediately. Few people realize as well that the first winter shelter for our homeless population in Concord was due to the efforts of Jim Bouley, negotiating for space at the old Toby building, raising funds for necessary insurance and supplies, and even going to Walmart to purchase phones so that the volunteer staff could stay in touch with each other as they took on this assignment. He and his wife Tara were also known to collect and wash bed linens when the shelter program was still being organized. I was asked to mention that, Tara. The longest serving mayor in the history of Concord will soon complete his final term. I guess there's a footnote there that says, absent a robust write-in campaign, which I'm told are all the rage this season. But the community can rest assured that Jim's positive impact and commitment will extend well into the future. As Jim would say, it's another great day in the city. And Jim is a key reason why Concord stands out as one of the greatest capital cities in our country. And for these and many other reasons, the Concord Chamber of Commerce is very proud to award Jim Bouley its highest honor, the 2023 Outstanding Citizen of the Year Award.
Okay, before we get started, it's my last one. All right, first we gotta do something. All right, everybody. Smile. My buddies in college will never believe this. That's my proof. Okay, so how do we start? All together. It's another great day in this city. You bet it is. And well, those are some tough acts to follow. And Mike and Tom, thank you so very much. I appreciate that. I'm glad I get to go after you guys. I'm going to do my best I can. First of all, I'd like to thank you all so much for being here tonight and to see me accept the award for Sexiest Man of the Year. Thank you, Jackson. You're absolutely right. I'm sorry. Citizen of the Year. Sorry, wrong speech. Okay, I got this. That's why I have my son with me all the time. Well, I'd like to thank you all for being here, and I want to thank the Chamber for this humbling recognition. Tim, Bree, Emily, Gabe, Carolyn, and I'm not going to forget Valerie, Kathy, Christina, Trieste, and Becky. They have been with me for 26 years, and for the 16 years I've been able to serve as mayor. They are incredible people. I don't know if people recognize how important the Chamber is to the city and what an incredible partner they are with not only myself, but to the city. And whenever there was something I really needed, I knew I always had a team behind me that wasn't a city hall that could be there to really support the city and support me. And from my deepest part of my heart, it's thank you so much, all of you. I want to acknowledge the hard work and dedication of the individuals and organizations who have supported me throughout my journey. And there are many, many folks in this room, and their unwavering belief in me has been an incredible source of inspiration. I want to thank my partner in crime, Tom Aspell, Concord's city manager. Tom is, without question, the very, very best at what he does. You, man, are my ride or die. You give me the best advice. You are always there for me, and you've always cared about me as a person, not the mayor. And I am truly blessed, and I am incredibly proud to call you my friend. I want to thank my colleagues on the City Council, all 52 of them. No, I will not name them, but for working alongside me for this great city. There are two people I will mention on the other hand, though, and they were great role models, and that was Mayor Verno and Mayor Donovan. I could not have had two better role models on how to run the city. They were incredible. And I, at first, was going to start to name some city councilors, and every time I said, if I mention them, I'm going to mention them. Let's just say, I've been incredibly blessed to serve with so many wonderfully talented individuals. I want to thank my family, as well as my work family, Michael and team. I can't thank you enough because it's those folks who, without their support and understanding and sacrifice, and it's a tremendous amount of sacrifice because it's a lot of time, I would never be able to do the work that I've been able to and honored to do. So let me tell you, the Reardons, who there are 3 tables of, There is nobody who can keep you more humble and grounded than a Reardon, let me tell you. And I'm pretty sure that they went to school with most of the people in this room. Because there's not a time that you walk down Main Street and go, I went to school with John. I went to school with Crane. It's like, okay, sure. I'll tell you, at my wedding reception, just to give you a little flavor of what it's like to be in the Reardon family, the first person to welcome me was John. He goes, welcome. Have a beer. Okay. Sat down at the table, and the little place card in front of me said, Jim Reardon. I'm like, so this is how it's going to be, I guess. And I want to give a special thank you to Tara, Tira. I can't say enough how past 26 years you enabled me to be able to do this. Jackson has never known a time where either his mother or father have not been on the ballot. This is the first year that one of us is not on the ballot, so he has grown up knowing what it's like to hold a sign at the polls and say hi to everybody. But Tari, your support and the fact that you've made such sacrifice for all of us, for us to do this. She does like to remind me that she is a commissioner. She does represent more people than I do. Oh well. It's really an honor to stand up here, but the truth is, the things that I've achieved that I'm most proud of were only accomplished through the vision and efforts of a host of people. First, my fellow city councilors, Fred Keach, Barrett Champlin, Foxy Fennessy, Brent Todd, Earl Pierce, Jen Kredivic, Karen McNamara, Paul McLaughlin, Keith Nyan, the wonderful Miss Matson, and my Mayor Pro Tem, Candice Bouchard. I can't thank you all enough for being here tonight, celebrating with me. This is just as much yours as it is mine. To all the members of the community who I love so much, my dear friends who have lifted me up and advised me along the way, and my incredible family. I might be the one standing here this evening, but this honor, quite honestly, equally belongs to all of you. So when I sat down to write my comments tonight, I had big plans to talk about my greatest accomplishment. But I have to say, it's not one project, but a collective work of community. The relationships that I've been lucky enough to forge during my time serving the city are by far the most rewarding accomplishment and the work I'm most proud of. Together, we changed a whole lot of things. First and foremost, you've heard it tonight, the revitalization of Main Street. I am so proud of the fact that we transformed Concord from, remember this, the city in a coma, the city that rolled the streets up at 5 o'clock, to the vibrant, incredible place that it is today. And quite frankly, we are the envy of communities throughout the state and through New England. I'm actually proud of you. You can yawn at this point. I'm actually really proud of the fact that we crafted 15 balanced budgets in the city. Yes, our local community lives within its means. Kind of scary, but it's true. And you may ask, yes, well, you've been mayor for 16 years. What happened that 1 year? Okay, fine. I used a little bit of fund balance, but where's LeBron? I paid it back on time, all right, and early. So there you go. When I got elected, what happened? We went into a recession. And toward the end, what happened? We had a pandemic. And Tom, it wasn't even our fault. But we survived it and we made it through. Who remembers the Pennacook Tannery? Remember that? Dilapidated, old. Where's Matt Walsh? I think Matt actually pushed the building over when it finally fell down because he was tired of it. But we turned that into an incredible affordable housing opportunity, and a great, beautiful park is coming soon. We revitalized our treasured city parks and pools, our 7 incredible parks and pools. We added the addition of Ambulance One, which was a huge feat for our community. We protected our open space, and we now have 90 miles of trails in our city. Yeah, you can clap for that. That's great. We have the creation of a citywide community center. Where are my friends from the school board? There you go. Big thank you to my friends from the school board. It only took 2 years to negotiate a deal so we could buy it for $1. 2 years. But thank you. You were great. And the school board has always been there to be an incredible partner with the city. And I can't thank Jim and your whole group and all the elected officials over the years. It is so important. And I always like to say, because people forget, how close the school board and the city council really do work together, and we look out for each other, and the work that they do is so vitally important to making our community that much more viable, and people want to live and work here. So thank you for what you do. We did my family used to refer to it as the Singing Bridge. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Sewell's Falls Bridge. Huh? Do we remember that? Looks a little different today, doesn't it? The Neighborhood Road Program. And I'll stop with this last one because I'm going to quiz you all here. So, several years ago, when you came into Concord, what was the first thing you thought of? The smell. It's gone. So, I'll tell you, I'll name 2 people. I'm going to give them a lot of credit. So Alan Bennett, who's a Ward 6 councilor, which included the Hall Street area, and Keith Nyan, which represented Ward 7. And Nyan's kind of my budget hawk. He's the one who always kind of keeps us in check, and he's that conscious on my shoulder, like, remember, we're going to pay for this, make sure we're doing it right. So the city comes back with, of course, a plan that's going to cost $6 million. And Nyan says, how about we try $2 million first, see how that works. And if that doesn't work, we'll try another 2, we'll try another 2. So guess what? We only spent $4 million, but we got rid of the smell. So there you go. Saving you all money. Look at that. All of these were only possible through commitment and collaboration and so many incredible people. People I'm grateful to call friends, and for their friendship and teamwork, I will always be deeply grateful. The truth is, I love this community, and it is the only place in the world that I'll ever want to call home. And serving this city has been a joy and a privilege of my life. My biggest motivation throughout the years has been how I can help others. It isn't because I'm a saint by any means. I know some of you may be shocked by that revelation, but it's because of what my parents taught me and the way they've led their lives. The expectation has always been that you give back, you pay it forward, and you find ways to make a better life for people around you. And for this and their support, I am eternally grateful to both of them. And since I'm incredibly fortunate to have both my mom and my dad here tonight, I want to tell you two very quick stories that I think illustrate the point. So my mom started teaching at Littleton High School back in the 60s. She's very young, but she started in the 60s. She wanted to coach, but in those days, the traditional role of women was pretty limited. And so she was told that she could coach the cheerleaders. Knowing my mother, that didn't go over great. But it didn't last long, and she wasn't real popular with the cheerleaders because, quite frankly, she wouldn't let them smoke in the bus before the games. Remember those days? So she set out to change this, and she took on the Old Boys Network, and she created more opportunities for women. And by the time she was done, she had spearheaded a women's field hockey team, which she was a state champion, a basketball, softball programs, and the list goes on. And today she's a member of the NHIA Hall of Fame, and I'm very proud of my mom. I'll tell you one other story about my mother. So I think this was pretty interesting. So when she started, and they were talking about basketball, and when she started those days, there were 3 women on one end of the court and 3 women on the other end of the court, and they couldn't cross half court. So she didn't like that. The boys ran up and down the court. Why couldn't the girls? So she went to Concord. She complained to the NHIA. And of course, what did they say? Okay, you're on a committee. You fix it. So she went to school down, where'd you go? Springfield College. Took a class on how to do it. Came back to the NHIA. And that was the beginning of women's sports where you ran up and down the court just like the boys. So there you go. So my dad, he has always been driven to improve our community. And there are so many stories I am picking, but one, they used to call him Doc when he was a teacher way back when. And he was the one who, put me in the front seat of the car, no seatbelt, just, sit there, slide around. So it was always an experience with my father. But in the late 60s, he saw a need for kids to have a safe place to learn, to swim, and to cool off during the summer. So I want you all to take note of how we did this, because you're going to sound familiar later on. He formed a committee of 9 people. They applied and won a land and water conservation grant, and they opened a town pool. And this was probably one of the most impressive acts of lobbying before he actually did it professionally. And the measure passed the town meeting, and he reminds me today that it only had 36 no votes. And knowing my father, he knows exactly who those 36 people were. So for those of you on the city council who have ever wondered why I can count the way I can, my father taught me to count votes a long time ago. They were always looking to improve the things around them. And there was never an excuse not to lead my life in the same way. They also made very clear that you need to stay humble, never forget where you came from, and I carry that with me every day. So I thought it might be fun at this point to share a few stories and memories, along with a few lessons I've learned serving in city government over 26 years. So let's start with the obvious, Main Street. Brent Todd, where are you, buddy? Brent Todd. So, it's a 7:30 meeting. I don't really want to go to the meeting. It's at Gallagher's office, and they got a nice conference room. I figured, well, they got coffee, fine, I'll go. And I sit down with Brent, and I'm like, what's the agenda? He goes, well, this is back, remember the days of 2020, right? They had $40,000 left, and Brent says, well, Jennifer was there as well. Where's Jennifer? Right there. So we had $40,000 left, and they're talking about improving a street light and some crosswalks and stuff like that. And I just had enough, and I was like, can we just think big? Can we stop with this already? Stop. Think of an economic development project. Let's really think big. What can we do? Let's transform Main Street. I had no idea what I said that morning. It was pre-coffee. It was like, holy smoke. Next thing you know, Dupree's out there raising money. Sink's raising money. Dupree's shooting videos. Subarowski's running everywhere. The city's gone crazy raising money. They actually raised the money. They got the federal grant. I went in Tom's room. I go, hey, we're in trouble. I go, this thing may happen. What are we going to do? He goes, I don't know. What do you think? I guess, I got it. We need a committee. He says, well, who's going to chair this committee? This is going to be a big deal. I said, I got it. We're going to have Steve Dupree chair this thing. He's like, why are you going to have Steve? And I go, because if this thing goes sideways, we're going to blame him. So next thing you know, they have 70 meetings. They go on and on and on. And lo and behold, the project actually starts after a whole different rounds of things. And the first memory that I'll always have burned in my imagination, Siborowski, where are you? So, picture this, Mark Siborowski. I'm like, Mark, what are you doing? I got my tape measure. Jim, did you know it's 98 feet between building and building on Main Street? Oh my gosh, we can do so much. Do you know how many parking spaces there are? I'm like, oh, Mark, man, come on. So, needless to say, the project is underway. I'm never really sure if Mark actually worked for Severino Construction or if they worked for him. But he had some great parties, and I thought it was wonderful. So we start the construction. The first thing, anybody remember the first thing that happened? They put the shovel in the ground, they hit a water main, and we have a flood downtown. And that day, I witnessed something that I'll never forget. I saw Tim Sink in a kayak, and he's kayaking down Main Street, down Depot Street. He's like, woo, this is awesome. I'm like, oh, gosh. So then, as you can imagine, the whole way along, I got people telling me, I can't believe it, Bouley, you're going to destroy our community. This is the worst thing that happened. Why are you doing this to us and such? And there was one particular day that I really kind of had enough. And sometimes we all find a place where they kind of get yourself together. Well, for me, it's chasing a little white ball around the golf course. And I ruin a nice walk, but it gets out of my head and can just do something fun. So I went up to Beaver Meadow, and I was going to play 9 holes of golf that day. And I was going to go out by myself, and there was this guy. He shows up. He's got jeans on. He's got a T-shirt on. Older gentleman. Turns out he was a bus driver for Merrimack Valley High School. And he said, you mind if I join you? I said, no problem. And quite frankly, we didn't really talk very much that whole round. We just I sprayed the ball everywhere in the trees, and he hit the ball 150 yards down the fairway. And we get to the 9th green, and he says, Mayor, can I ask you a question? I never told him I was the mayor. He just never said much. And I said, yeah, what's that? He says, I got a question. He says, do you know how to spell change? Oh, that's C-H-A. He goes, no. Change is spelled F-E-A-R. He says, don't be afraid of change. He said, and don't let the bastards get you down. Main Street's a good thing. You keep plugging away. And it was like at that moment, you have no idea how people affect your life. And it was the right message at the right time. And it wasn't from anybody other than this gentleman who drove a bus and who, wearing jeans and a T-shirt and playing golf at the Beef. And it's amazing how sometimes you can just stay focused with some people you've never met. Which kind of leads me to the next one, which I actually have a picture in my office that I always save. So at all of those 70 meetings and all of the meetings the city council had, we had one particular person. She showed up religiously at every single meeting to tell us how bad a project this was and how awful it was. I grew very fond of her. She's a really, really nice woman. And the justice comes in this, and this is why I have the picture. So when, where's John Smos? So he was kind enough to offer his little car. It's going to be the first car. I'm going to get to sit in the car after we cut the ribbon and all pumped up and going down Main Street. And I looked afterwards at the pictures of cutting the ribbon. And the woman who showed up at all the meetings to tell us how bad this was in the front row going, woo! There you go. All right, so being a ward counselor. So you learn a lot about being a ward counselor. And one of my favorites was one night Jackson and I were watching the Final Four, and I got a text and or email, and I was reading the email, and this guy, he called me every four-letter word you could imagine. I mean, he hates me. Well, little does he know, but I actually know where he lives. So 8 o'clock the next morning, I went to his house. And but before I went, I printed off the email, and the guy comes to the door and he says, yeah. I said, are you Mr. So-and-so? He goes, yeah. I said, I think you sent me an email last night, and you had a lot of opinions about me, and I thought I want to talk to you about them. Listen, I didn't send any email. I said, I think you did. Is this you? He goes, he looks at it, he reads, he goes, huh, yeah, guess I did. He says, well, I was drinking last night, and my back's been hurting, so I've been taking some painkillers. He says, nah, I didn't mean that. You're okay. I said, all right, well, thanks. And if you ever need anything, just call me. And he stops me and he goes, wait a second. You're not on the school board, are you? Nope. So the second lesson I learned, never mess with Steve Dupree. So it was the Pinnacle Awards, and I was doing the introduction, and it happened to be Steve's birthday. And I thought I was being pretty funny, and I poked fun at him, and I said, hey, happy birthday, Steve. And he looked at the people, told me, don't do it. I was like, nah, it's his birthday, I can do this. Well, I did it, and he smiled at me, and that was about it. A week later, it's my birthday. I go to get coffee downtown. I walk in the coffee shop, and every single person in the coffee shop was wearing this bright yellow shirt with my picture on it, wearing high heels from the walk-a-mile. It was like, never again, buddy, never again. I apologize. Let me see. This one, Byron, this one's for you, okay? So, here's your first one. You want to be mayor. Here's your first lesson. You ready? So, one night I'm out to dinner at a local restaurant, and I noticed that Tara and I are sitting there, and the waiters and waitresses, they're all kind of laughing. And so they came over, and I'm like, why are you all laughing? What's so funny? And they said, we're actually keeping track. We're counting the number of people who interrupt your meal. And you're up to 19 right now. I'm like, wow. So my lesson, my message to you is order salad, because it never gets cold. Here's another one. When I first ran for mayor, I was actually at the Barley House, and waitress was a wonderful woman, Michelle. She goes, you run for mayor? I said, yeah. She goes, you got a slogan? I said, no, I don't. She goes, I'm gonna get you a slogan. I said, okay. So before she hands me the check, which I thought was bold, she says to me, here's your slogan. She goes, Jim Bouley. Good enough. So, okay, I'm gonna keep moving real fast. So, next thing, to all you city councilors, all you wanna-be city councilors, never get in a dunk tank booth. Don't do it. Don't do it. So on market days, they convinced me to get in a dunk booth. I'm like, yeah, I can do this. This is fun. They're like, oh, raise money, get people to do. I'm like, sure, no problem. So one of our great police officers, Melissa Fairfully, is coming down the street. And of course, I think I'm a smart guy, and I taunt her and I go, hey, you got nothing. You got no arm. You couldn't hit this if you wanted to. She stops. She looks at me. She hands over the money. I'm like, ooh, she's paying. This is good. They hand her 2 balls, and she gives one back, and she says, I don't need 2. I'm like, oh, gosh. She backs up across the street. Not the line where everybody else was. She backs up across the street. She throws a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. She hit that target. It blew up, and I exploded in the water. So I love our police officers. They're wonderful people, and I've never been. The last one about being mayor, I'll tell you, is so there was a gentleman who was downtown a lot, and he always wanted a few extra dollars. So in front of my office, the snowplow, the sidewalk plow, couldn't actually plow in front of the office. So I always give him a few extra bucks, and he shoveled the walk and stuff. And he's a wonderful guy. And I called him the mayor of Main Street. And so one day, our office had gone to lunch, and I had gone to the ATM, and I got some money out. And So I come back from a budget meeting actually, and I see him up ahead. He crosses the street. I'm like, do I cross back? Do I miss him? I'm like, nah. So I said, hey, Mayor, how are you? He goes, Mayor, good. He goes, got a buck? I said, sure. I said, I tell you what, today's your lucky day. And I knew I had a dollar in my pocket. I reached and I go, you can have whatever's in my pocket. Reach out, and I look, and I'm like, oh, shoot, it's a 20. He grabbed that 20 so fast I never saw it. And at this point, I'm like, oh, okay, there it goes. He looks at me, and I figured he's going to say, oh, thank you so much. He looks at me and goes, hey, what are you going to do about the bathrooms at Bicentennial Square? It's terrible. I can't believe the condition you leave these bathrooms. I'm like, okay, all right. All right, a few other lessons. One of my first lessons I learned is you get a lot of constituent calls, and I lived over in Eastside Drive, and so I called General Services, I called Jim Major, and I said, listen, I want you to do me a favor. I said, when the plow truck goes down the road, I need you to take the wing person, and I need you to just launch my mailbox. I want you to hit that thing, and hopefully there's no mail in it, but just let it go as far as you possibly can. He's like, what? Really? I go, just do it, please. So sure enough, I come home one day, and my mailbox is about 3 houses down the street. Go pick it up, and I'm smiling. Tara's like, what are you nuts? What are you doing? I'm like, no, this is a good thing. It's a good thing. So sure enough, I get a call from somebody. I can't believe the city. They took out my mailbox. And I looked at it and I go, hey, me too. I can't believe that. The guy was as quiet as can be. It was so who knows the stop sign at the top of Liberty Street where it intersects Forest Street? Anybody know that? Probably the dumbest stop sign in the middle of nowhere, but here it is. Now I'm going to tell you how it got there. So I'm in Ward 10, East Concord Garden Club, wonderful group of women, none of them less than 80 to 90 years old. They couldn't get water to Pecker Park, which is Colonel Pecker, right there at the intersection of Shaker Road, where it intersects with Mountain Road. And they wanted water at the park. I'm like, of course, I can get you water, no problem. So I went around to my fellow counselors, and they're like, no way. No, what are you nuts? We're not doing water. No. And I'm like, no, this is really important to the East Concord Garden Club. We got to do this. So I kept getting votes, slowly chipping away at it. And finally, it was Jeff Bart, who represented Ward 4 at the time. He goes, you want water from Pecker Park? I get a stop sign at the top of Forest. And so I said, deal. So there's water at Pecker Park, and that's why there's a stop sign. So here's my Tom Aspell story. So I'm out golfing. I'm with Brother Cohen. I'm with Jackson and Forth. And we are going off playing the back nine. We're going off the 10th. And I look up, and the clubhouse had gotten painted all except for the top portion. So like the top 8 feet had not gotten painted, right? It just looked dumb. I'm like, what happened? And all these people were giving me a hard time, like how incompetent the city was. What, you didn't have a ladder that went high enough? What's the problem? So I thought, I'll be a smart guy, and I'm going to call a spell. It's a Saturday morning about 10 o'clock. Sure, I can do this. So I call Tom, and he's dumb enough to answer the phone. And I'm like, Mr. Manager, I can't believe this. The outrage. They can't even paint the top of the building, blah, blah, blah. So we tee off. Well, Jackson's got the only good eyes of the bunch because Cohen can't see and I can't see. And we're coming up to 18th hole. He's just dead. What's going on at the clubhouse? I said, what do you mean? He goes, look up there. I'm like, what? Sure enough, there's Tom Aspell up on a ladder painting the rest. So it tells you what kind of guy he is. But the other half of it is, it was the very first week that the new pro, Phil Davis, had come to work for the city. And Phil Davis comes around the corner. I go, hey, Mr. Pro, have you ever met the manager? He goes, no. I go, that's him up on the ladder. He's like, oh, shoot. That's going to be a tough Monday. So anyway. And the last one I'll leave you with is, I always try to tell Jackson and everyone, this is really, for me, is a really important lesson in life. And that is, it doesn't cost anything to be nice, to say hello to somebody, to smile, because you never know where they are in their world. You never know what's going on in their life. You never know how much a smile can just affect, and a simple hello can affect their day. And instead of me trying to tell you a story of something I did, I want to tell you a story about what somebody did for me. And it still to this day puts a smile on my face. It makes me feel better. So it was end of May, June, and it was a budget hearing, and it was a beautiful evening. It was warm, and the sun was out. And just one of those, you want to be outside and enjoy the moment. And I'm at the city council, and so I'm walking back to my office, and I get to the light at Center at Pleasant and Main. And this woman pulls up next to me, and she's pushing a stroller, and it's got a dog in the stroller. Okay, and I'm holding my book, and she looks at me, and she goes, "You the mayor?" "Yes, ma'am, I am." She goes, "Huh? You single?" I said, No, I'm happily married. She goes, "Huh? All the good ones get away." I said, "Well, thank you. That's very, very nice. I appreciate that." And she goes, "Well, hey, if it doesn't work out, give me a call." "Sure." And she says, "Well, I don't have a phone. Hey, but I'll see you around." I said, "Okay." And I have to tell you, to this day, there's not a moment when I go down Main Street and I stop at that light that I don't think of her and how she made my day that day. So all of you, make sure you smile and make sure you say hello, because it can change a day. So I'm going to leave you with this thought, which really resonates with me, and it's a quote from Helen Keller. "Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much." So thank you so much for this incredible honor. This award is a reminder that every voice matters, and that we all have the capacity to make a positive impact, even more so when we come together as a community. I appreciate you all. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart, and I love this city more than anything, and I love you. So thank you.